Here we go. Hello and welcome everyone to episode 53 of Awakening to Ascension. I'm your host, Alex Nelson, here with Janae. Today's topic is forgiveness and releasing attachments. I literally forgot the moment we started recording. So forgiveness is huge. Forgiveness is huge. It's what allows you to let things go that have happened to you in the past. When people have wronged you. And I've actually taken it a step further. So, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, I have had a history with drug use. So, I did go through like the AA programs, and forgiveness is a huge part of the 12 steps. But what I did to take it further is I wasn't just forgiving the people that had wronged me, I was actually thanking them for giving me an experience, a lesson, something to help me grow. And doing that has allowed me to take ownership not only for my own behaviors, but for their behaviors as well. And realize that if you were to ask for forgiveness, tell somebody that you did something wrong to them, even if they don't forgive you, you've done your part. Like you don't need to be forgiven as long as you do what you can to make amends appropriately. At that point, it's in their court to forgive you. And whether they do or not, just know that you did what all that you could do, and you can just let it go. Yes, Janae.
That's such a great way to start the conversation with the 12 steps and the forgiveness. Because if you don't forgive somebody, you know, it's such a common saying that you are drinking the poison because you are holding on to that resentment and to that anger. So there's an actual study that's been done that says that a person that holds on to a grudge or resentment has 3% more chance of dying from a heart attack because the body's cortisol level is so high because you're holding on to this tension in the body that it's causing stress on your organs, your muscles. And that's why I say it's like drinking poison, because it's a very difficult pill to swallow, especially if somebody's wronged you. And I think that it's not the easiest to do either. But when you have forgiven somebody, you actually free yourself because you aren't holding on to that anymore. And forgiveness needs to sometimes, and I speak from personal experience, sometimes you need to forgive them more than once because you think that you've forgiven them, but you haven't fully forgiven them. And when you make peace and understanding or inner standing that to move forward with your life in love, you can't hold on to that. And I've been, so today is a very, very powerful day. It's the 222 portal. And specifically on my Soul Spark yesterday, I did a lot of letting go practices because we've stepped into the year of the fire horse. We've stepped into a new cycle. You cannot hold on to these things because it will weigh you down. And an analogy that I use quite often is if you are holding on to this anger and this resentment with regards to how somebody's treated you or mistreated you, you are arriving, and I use this analogy with a client, that he's arriving at this beautiful banquet party, high end, tuxes, fancy cars, mansion, invitation only addressed to him. He arrives at the door and he's got a whole lot of bags and people with him. That's exactly what we are carrying with us. We just don't see it in the physical. So a way of forgiveness, a way of releasing or allowing forgiveness to take place is a practice I've used multiple times. It's writing a letter. When you write, it is released from your heart out of your physical body onto paper. And then what you do is you read that letter to the person out loud, like not in person, in your private capacity. And you read this letter to them so that you can let it go, and you burn the letter because it's now it's been taken, it's been dissipated, it's gone up in flames, and then you move on from that. Sometimes you don't fully move on, so you have to do the practice quite often.
Yeah, I've actually done that exact practice before, writing down things about people that have hurt me and then burning it. That can be a good practice when the person's unavailable for you to interact with or unsafe, which can be the case. There are some situations that you don't even want to approach a person, like when with regards to a narcissist that will just try to use that as an attempt to pull you back in, right? You go and apologize, ask for forgiveness, or go to forgive them, turn it around on you. And as Janae was saying, as far as like forgiving people, you do sometimes have to do it multiple times. And you can tell people that you need to forgive just by the energy you feel when, like, if you're going through your phone, you're looking through a name, going through your names, you see someone, you're like, oh, I hate that person for this, this, or this, or that person did this to me. Do your best to go through like your entire list of contacts and see if there's anything that you can apologize for, or if there's anything that you can forgive other people for. Because that stuff will weigh you down, and it takes so much energy to hold on to these grudges and resentments. Like, you really don't have time for it, and you're going through so much, you're just expending so much more energy than you really, really need to. Yes, Janae.
You know, something else that one can forget is that we store a lot of this in our body as well. So the psoas muscle is the muscle that stores this emotion. And when you do hip openers, so you can find various asanas, stretches for hips. So just sitting in a butterfly position with the bottom of your soles together and your knees open, it opens the hips. And when you do hip opening practices, you release a lot of that stored, stagnant emotion that has been held in the body. So you may have forgiven the person verbally, you may have forgiven them in your heart space, but the body itself has still stored that. So it's a complete forgiveness that it's a process that you need to do. And I think that the hip openers is something that's it's a very good practice to complete the forgiveness process. Yes, Alex.
One thing that I want to bring up, I feel like it's very appropriate for this topic. So I wrote a book. I'm the author of a book titled Restoring the Divine Masculine. And one of the reasons I wrote this is because I've seen how much damage the collective feminine has taken in regards to masculinity, patriarchy, toxicity. So I would like to ask any viewers or listeners, and you, Janae, what do you think it will take for women to forgive what men have done to you?
I think that we need to do a whole episode on this. And I think that we may do it in our next episode. What do you think? I think this is a good opportunity to bring this up, so we've got more time to discuss it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a big deal.
It
It's
is.
I mean, and
So
it
so for me, this is ancestral. The feminine, and I spoke today with a friend regarding this. The feminine energy hasn't felt safe for a very long time. And the masculine energy is supposed to be the protector for the feminine. And I'm not saying this isn't, it's not for every masculine. Please don't take this personally. This is just a generalized conversation. It's a topic. It's not targeted, and it's not, this isn't to cause an argument regarding it. This is just, I think, quite, you can see it. The feminine is afraid. The feminine is afraid of the masculine. And the feminine has had to be more in her own masculine energy. And by doing so, what happens is the masculine energy feels threatened because they are being faced with the masculine instead of the feminine. And we're living very much out of balance at the moment. Not all, but I would say quite a few human beings. And this stems again, it's ancestral. If we look at the masculine, and I speak just from what I know, our our parents and our grandparents were forced to go to war. So they had to be very much in their masculine. And the feminine was in her feminine because they stayed home with the children. And because that aspect has been taken away, the masculine has lost touch of understanding the feminine. And I do believe that there's a lot of trauma in all of us, and that stems from our inner child trauma. And that is because our inner child has witnessed and watched what they believe is the feminine and the masculine because it's what we saw. So therefore, what we see, we do. And this is, I think it's this is a big topic to dive into. But I think that forgiveness is immensely important with regards to this. And I speak from a broken family. So myself and my ex-husband have not seen eye to eye. And it's been extremely brutal and extremely hurtful and extremely painful, not just to us, but Mason. And that's not fair. And I'm watching a lot at the moment, these broken families that have unhealed inner child wounds that are causing more pain for the children because they're unable to to just heal and forgive, move on. And that's something that cannot be forced, and that is a journey one needs to go on in their own self with no rush. So there's much that I've had to forgive, not just in my ex-husband, but in myself, because we are mirrors of one another and we forget that. So I think that if humanity can start to bring forward the inner child and live through that inner child eye and look at the situations, I do believe it would be very, very different. Because if my little girl was standing in front of my ex-husband's little boy, I don't think that it would be such a war. So
Very,
I
uh,
think the inner child, I think the inner child is the root cause of the pain.
sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, and the thing is, she's absolutely right. So like our traumas are getting passed down ancestrally from generation to generation. And what makes this so dangerous is so you're born and you have all of this pre-existing trauma that's not yours, but you don't know how to cope with it. So you end up getting twisted and turning toxic and then hurting somebody else or blaming somebody else because it's so much easier to blame somebody else for whatever's happening to you. But as a chain breaker or light worker, it's up to you to break that pattern. Take responsibility for what you can, understand that these are emotions that are trapped in your DNA and just need to be released. They don't necessarily have anything to do with you per se, but it is your ancestors are counting on you to release that. And when it comes to forgiveness, if you're going to ask somebody for forgiveness, it's not just getting them to say, I forgive you, but it's changing the behavior that you were needing to be forgiven for. So if you shoplift one day and you go and make amends for that and you go and do the exact same thing the next day, there's no forgiveness happening. You can't be forgiven because you're not even putting yourself in the space or the mindset to change that behavior. And I believe that if every one of us on this planet practiced forgiveness personally within their friends and family, there would be a whole lot less problems in the world today.
I think also just forgiveness in self. Forgiveness begins with you. So if you're unable to forgive yourself for wrongdoing, then how would you forgive somebody else for their wrongdoing? And sometimes we hold on to these things for so long. And when you actually digest it, it is digest, where you cut it open. What's it? Is it digest?
No, it's dissect.
Dissect. Oh, okay. So when you actually dissect the the cause of what you were even upset about, you see how small it was and realize, wow, like my gosh, if we had just handled that a little bit better, then we would be in a different situation. And I think it's this consciousness that comes to play as well, because a lot of people behave from a reactive state. So when something happens, they react immediately without taking a moment, taking a breath, and then sitting and discussing the matter. So if we can get to a maturity as well, where we're able to talk to one another truthfully, honestly, all things that need to be laid out on the table, lay them out on the table so one can move forward. Because it creates a lot of tension. It creates a lot of tension in the dynamic, and It's a very uncomfortable environment. So I think that forgiveness is a very, very vital part of this journey. And I believe that the sovereign being, the ones that have done this dark inner work, ego deaths, we are able to understand fully forgiveness because we see one another and we are living in a very, very beautiful frequency where peace and love is where we operate from. So we're unable to hold on to anger, pain, resentment. And that's when you are essentially free. That's when you do become free. So if you are finding it difficult to forgive somebody, then please reach out to us because we have experienced, Alex, I think that's a big one, forgiveness in the 12 steps and my own personal journey. So we speak from experience and we will be able to assist you and support you and see how we are able to allow you to live with peace in your heart. So I think that you must understand that you're not alone and you've got a community that will stand right next to you, hold your hand, hug you, and make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. I am a professional when it comes to forgiveness. I have forgiven every single person that has wronged me in my life. And even so, the most difficult person to forgive was myself. One trick or one method that you can use if you are having difficulty forgiving others is to think of them as you. They're just a different version of you with different circumstances, a different environment, different parents. So when you don't forgive somebody, you're just not forgiving a part of yourself. Um, that is all the time we had for today. Put something in the comments of like how you forgive others or anything along those lines. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.